Look at me, Mum, cool as a cucumber. Take it to Mars, repair it with viscous. Columbus Kestrel, fixated on a single spot. Daring to look into the eyes of the ground. I make sushi, you make mixes. We go hand in hand looking at a distro. Computer silence like a wasp in flight. Flitting in pain, fitting in painting. Whilst it waits for the bus. A sufferer alone awaits his execution. Temptation must not suffer alone. Given the beef of the reef there isn't much to spare. It's all air down there. No, there's no punctuation, just the city station, being cleaned around. I have to be miserable to please you. Please take the bread, take my bread and head for the door. I'll keep the emotions in the bag. Alexis, I may believe ya got it all wrong. Your relationship crust seems like abuse. Your feminine is nasty and hateful. Dragged out into a nightmare from a flesh and pain. Damaged by the century, the war we forgot. But we get reminded every so often. Waste your life, nothing matters at all. Alleviated beyond the flowers, dancing hours. Metamorphosis into the sun, burn your bum and become one with the stars. On my left flank I hold pineapples, on my right flank I hold the steers. The lies of the seagull punctuate the long sea air. Granite under your feet and under your head. The seaside resort clicks into place.
Scientific achievement equals psychedelic sheep. Aragorn von Actonius looks at his castle back in the old wash basin, and as he turns on the tap he becomes mixed with muzzled beings, each one contempt with daggers and whistles. There is some certain substance to his argument, but he stands inside a meat red colon, at the junction which in both directions circles off into blackness. He is cartoonish, looking with some unease to and fro, as he wonders where he must be. There's no escape from the human being, there's no fireplace big enough for your soul. If it wasn't greenwashed it would all seem so genetic. Lots to do whilst my ego gets loose, everything will be worse, if I didn't, but it will be worse, if I do, whatever the situation. The mantle of creation looks like it's changing its timetable. Oh no, the pollution has lifted. We are all going to go insane. Virtual Sean is reading his lines. Oh, but I'm so alone. Stuck alone inside my world. A cube is calling me, taking various forks around the side of the world. What is it like to fall in love slowly? The manic press, the shining towel. Let the world hurry up so I can go to sleep. A fighting dog in a catsuit. Boring customers with concrete cheese. A lifetime's supply of rosemary bushes. Catches the amateur cook. Air of ease, too much time to make too little mistakes. Sheep photographing mollusks. Seed mate. Metal friend. Delectatious corpse. Never want to see another photon again. I became a crimson in a carrot factory. They hustled around in their massive bulbs, chipped glasses, sorted suits, Italian dressing mutants, oil merchants, a powerhouse and a nuisance. There's that super problem with perfection. You have it all and all becomes stagnant. Love for 5 minutes, before death comes crawling. How many blood weddings, how many tools and times. Welcome to Eastern Europe. Welcome to the dream. Shining stars all about Krakow. A trip to Brno is on the cards too. Let's wine and dine in Bratislava. A Buddha to meet by Pest. Tokyo jet settlers on super skates, clutching copies of Sonic Youth albums, to drop off at a goth girl's super flat. Her toaster is getting worn. Perhaps she should invest in a bread maker, but her birthday is wild ice. Her happy returns are in postal orders. We can't afford to conglomerate. The big ones aren't democratic. Join the dots and make a big deal of ourselves yourselves. Can you see that sheen? Michael hasn't driven a car properly. He's still stuck with his ancient Porsche, an amazing crash-worthy construct. Cooking love in a whiskey pot, drunk in Flemish prunes. Teddy Taylor an absolute madman. He'd punch your lights out if you didn't nod. I was mad to mope and not miss the music. I messed the madness into a moral marble man, standing wide. At the gates of oblivion, you only get a small wedge, because the rest is disgusting. A dump in the Cotswolds, a hedge in Devon, a lot to think about whilst you're in heaven, cleaning the dishes like a soothsaying dingleberry, the predicting fruit, the right glass ball of hope, homologation nation station, not worth stopping here. Paoglaco 18 Mongus theoretic mercy third laughing flufful freflum mercy sick I am Julius vine methangoilic prolimer tinal paranagile. Bees sought nothing, everyone gains and yet death sprains them, women are dead kills. Did 20 quid just drop by? Heaven send it just flew by, tossed mites, ancient mists it casts, as often as it does, when I'm buying from a wife. My wife, isn't she gorgeous, slumptuous, voluptuous and loose prugs around us, makes sense, when you've got the lot of us, tends to get little diggers as usual, it's obvious, September octopus, in bleeds cod, here he comes, swerving on a side salad, or 20 dozen eggs which she made from chickens, based inches, whatever sandwiches are meant to be found under other rocks and platans, should you be found guilty. Iceland musketeers, shove bread into faces twister, musty crescent bears, showed mustard olive ovens here, standing at the bus stop, clouded by the sheet of rain, the thick mac-wearing man curled his belongings under his right appendage. It was Thursday morning, summertime, bright glimpses of the heated sphere tickling the long water, as if it wanted to do something. Sitting beside him was the pointed cat, it covered in suitable rain gear with its ears fashioned like antennae. A satellite linked to the stars above directed by a furry adventurer. The pins topping its triangle ears defied the long props, and piqued the curiosity of the taller traveler. Before he could look at it a rhombus bus pulled up. They lumbered on and got rid of the excess water, pulled along in unison with the serendipitous acceleration pioneered by the driver's square foot. Morphing into the sky the bus strolled around the corner and onto the clouded highway contemplated by the strings now multicolored and more frugal. The cat at the front and the man hogging the rear in a rounded crumple sat with content. On and on the bus went, upwards into the sea, all violet and simmering punctuated by green stars and rings of light. You were not, as red roses bloomed, marching in the summertime storms, descend upon those who sought to judge it better than anyone else with red hair, fiery in poetics, slamming down the doors of instance, a chance meeting at tens of streets, night blazes, the unknown student teaches, couldn't you be better than yourself? When the smiles came I thought it was genuine, that I had somehow found a secret possibility, oh meek and feeble as a human, it went on, we left it after a while, but you changed your clothes and went westward. I ought to think I have changed to a way you hate, but the same thing keeps happening and we will never be forgotten. Withheld number on a simmering racetrack. March, June, September, December, 410 at first from odd to 4. With a swift and august movement, speak to those without any suffering and dwell within them the prosperity they should have. Whatever mingling toll the bell rings speaks to the commonwealth like a fastidious eruption of sound and noise and spirit, emancipating and shouting like a beast on earth. Optimization of an oxygen hostess, climbing further upwards toward the eternal skyline, which, by the way, wasn't designed to be glamorous, it was sufficient enough to be distinguished by lines and wires sky bright upon the stars, sufficient to basic requirements and other various appropriate augmentations. All the battles and flags we raged, some are set on what cannot be gauged, a knowledge of truth, before life even begins, for one amongst many is the greatest of sins, but vital it is for the nation to know what that child understood. But how did he know? What was the reason for the child to know? Those questions which were only asked by the grown, men and women of all shapes and trades, combined together, as part of an age, and now, as the curtains want to close, no prose can make them work anyway. What does it matter to them the knowledge of objective matters, colored pencils, featuring suggestively, wells of bucket and water fund, he hits the steps one at a time, took the water shower for a glaze after the sun's corpse, colored septums, dancing in sequential gearboxes. Dancing ancient castles, fly past sword and afterwards make tea in shiny shackles, merriment pagarocious in succendus forming clouds of spray, whistles seek to group according to past beliefs and dishes, Horace makes work of a hounded silence, weaken the burrow of intent, gaze upon the fisted eyes of stretched metal, in course of self, residing in mustard basements, across the high hallways came inside the earth, brought forth a brutal force up in many a relacious dreamst, the fike. The grange, the mellow smooth sound came out against its ears, Varianus asked which it sat, guarding many life forms, took its place proud and noble. Husband cast and Lehman Niels Borg Firmstrong. Into my mirth the country grows, for bot forked in a under blows forward down to the Platte, meshed between several significant hidden depths and entities, swallowed whole between lines and conjecture, to line-tight white duchesses caress messages, teetering against insufficient linearages. The king axis whistle twist. Has-beens gather outside on the outer doorstep, septum-piercing sandstones and sigils held aloft on wifty leather banners, Ostbjörn Vorpus Fjordhavskopen, Scotland kept best things away from them, heritage meaning muscles hailed from sunny seas, determined aching pulses and permutations, consequently there was no must trust to whoever wanted it, he will have to send back outdoors soon or late, get it keep coming son. You'll soon reach journey's finish. Get a move on. You've got work to get done to go to. Excess cabbage must not be inclusive within the time frame. Hash browns must not be mentioned. God save the keeper's king. If he's about, we'll stir the pot. Keep living onwards. Much to come. Holding on soon desperately. Yours Mildred Ivabold. Rude leaf oil pill settles the cigarettes in a carpet-stained ocean. Pollution. Whatever next. A certain sea line stank brought us next to nothing in return for cyclical structures. Summons, wait, does it really, can't it ever happen? It thought we could turn us back into time whoever we wanted to. Friendship, society, basis, surgeons, asbestos, necessary, to-do, desire, aching bishops, common organic materialism, haven't a word to say or work against. Meningitis supplements the common market times. Take irrational minds, cast upon a great set of tonsils, magic makes art respectable and significantly more compatible and complete, tesseract makes merchandise. The sun's liquid is illusory poetic justice, baked and clad without circumstances, just a mere synchronized pull away from destronagested high weights, summons a blatant lack of gestible principles, gash the bookies, camel warfare beyond and down, there is no pain in waiting for blood, if you can call it out for that. To jeopardize it, a subtle insincere septum ring dragged in by a horse of a cloud. It carries the poor and yet pretty girls who can't understand you. Yet you still have hope. A hope to belong to a baking history, not to just simply waltz off into the sunset, but to keep coming back, earthling. For more and more. Always returning. Cycling around the background in the mist. Insufferable beauty surrounds as always. Just when does it cycle back to it? There is nothing, and yet there is everything. Sometimes it has to be that stained glass window. A church covered in moss. Substation power overload. Merrick magic merriment globulosis. 7. Certain soul savaged later, he makes his ego sufficient to the own world, absolute and unkind. There he receives 10 bottles of ginger wine. It's her friend that notices him first. She picks up a smile and receives a twisted message to give to him. He takes one look at it and sighs, washed away where again succinct nebulas dried up on an ocean sand somewhere in the South Pacific. Abstract hard-seeking known to mankind for centuries upon ends, and it's completely forgotten about. Denismet on fire adjacent to the window, ginger beautiful women in green silk dresses wandering towards the unknown man, suffering unto towards his last breath. What's the difference between a fridge and a refrigerator? We're not fully done with it yet. I am silenced by my brain, my plans are archived in the mess, surrounded by ground, no participation in the realization, objectivity is my situation, to wit, a mere sight of civilization is impossible, I am the world, whatever it is I am interacting with doesn't exist, but there is optimism, because in my world, It is still created and is consistent. My spaceship times the clock ticking away in some distant land, chimes to signal more creation, more pamphlets. Through the door, no sweeping, just collecting and observing, but love will happen at some point between my soul and the soil I supposedly tread in. That is, if it cares to believe, love could believe, if it wishes, but we both will have to wait and see. I am one in my terrifying enclosure, a floating silo, locked away in plain sight from humanity. Everyone took their turns to tame the beast, fortune and fame locked into their magnifying glasses, he able to speak yet not hear, aquatic life forms in ear holes negatively present, begging to be let back into hell like a jackrabbit. Alone by man he the skeleton stands, trees in an island of chalk, exhausting bridges created by rot but without fake love, the bones squeak and rattle. Whenever the material shouts theater, he is obviously controlled by theater, less than 15 minds heart to heart without any particular sky, confectionery consisting of linky earth connected to ribbon stakes. A garden shed is less impressive than a castle and less exciting. Castles need friends, preferably ones that don't sew bodies. The atmosphere went to the corner shop and bought a week's shopping, and it wasn't impressed, so it went to complain to the Cube Council, but they were sharp-edged about it, solemn, as I stand here, leaps of faith, looking into a glass cathedral of shattered dreams, alone and waiting, a bride's hearth, jostling hearts cracked open filled with honey, gone are the grass hearths of our ancestors, sideways doors in encapsulated suns, bare with the risen small ones, they whistle desperately in tune with the time. Sometimes it's hard to be a desktop, filing away the usual documents. Next to it is a mountain of shreds, optics and breadbaskets. If you care, I was reminded of my timely death. Suddenly my soul appeared before me, as incarnations that I swear I had seen before. I looked towards the blue light. It was forward within my heart as before, no more certain of a single light thereforth, shining again in the future. Bear with me, I could be quite certain about optional time. I went into the dessert store. I saw the mangled cashier standing there. I looked around and browsed the assorted magazines. I picked up a programming journal, a box of normal chocolates and a sandwich. I paid for it all by myself. I left and got into my short wheelbase car. In the passenger seat was a sheepdog with goggles. What the hell is a sheepdog with goggles doing out in the goddamn desert? Oh whatever, let's just ride into the desert. It's still midday anyway. After we fueled up we were ready to roll, and the car did start up and we did roll into that goddamn desert highway with only 2 lanes, nobody else there, riding through this world all alone. It's business time. I am burdened by my fellow responsibilities. Am I stuck to chase the yellow fox for a little bit longer, to toothpicks away from disaster? I am a cleaning machine gone wrong. Horse baskets not used to serve equine purposes, juice boxes littered in the ground by inconsiderate people. Youthful enterprise gives us sanctioned reasoning. Collapso desto significo, you're a beast. If east is east, if not then you're a turncoat. What's the difference between a goat and a goldfish? Constantly flying by ancient statues of cigarettes, want, worth, desire. Plastics adulteries, solemn nice men in jackets made of Singapore, astute, lining out the door of a special film for useless people, a dread lion. Are you a trooper? Are you a dancer? Are you going to make it in time? Subtlety initiates itself through the format of time. Clocks go back in time, dens go back into season, Dennis is a reassuring pastime, cork bottles flying everywhere. Woodcutter columns in Basingstoke ferment the sacred loss, chipmunks asunder, loose verse verbatim, gallant lying in mulch, kept wicken in the branches of its temporal mind, wistful thinking, going broadly nowhere, tweeting illusions, much not to say about anything, Catholic masterstrokes on several occasions, much to do without touching it, has-beens are we not? Bipolar babe, beautiful black elephant, you took the festivals out of my mouth. What part of the world are you from? Question mark. Do you go to Black and Carter discos? Would you be tempted to dress statistically? If so, the hedge hunters were pulled like a word. If you've gone to kill depression, be my/our guest. Sparks fly. No twisted metal here though. Your time won't need to come just yet, but keep going anyway. Chuck, weeping in this valley of tears, let me be another light from behind, covering the distance towards that which never stops and never ends. Lightning strikes on top of the mountains, bikes and castles, chevrons and mushy peas. Symptoms include severity, nuts, sacks of sickles, waste paper baskets, muddy snacks, benevolent insane people. Yugoslav Becky is but not just Rebecca West infatuated mangle. Tangled in symptoms include despotism, sincere thanks and apologies, greengrocers bewildered, assumption varied monstrosities, inseptitude variable minge tumbler foil lumen serge kebab shop lunatic grilled beware rarer, constant siege attack minefield bendiled Upton Park narrator college fitavloon. You've seen the rhythms. I can't see anything. It's a white void that you've colored in. All the stupid people are swinging. No vines in my planet. It's strange hearing snow in summer without the chanting. Life among the French vineyards. From a time when there were less roads. Full stop Fiona. Cobwebs. Maintenance on the trees. Silver crabs kept distance from the mountains. Solitude in comfortable places. Tablets with nothing said upon them. Life is a shrunken ship. Ostentatious livid within sanctimonious obsessions. Washboard antics during the 70s when nobody cared about us. Is it too good to waste an opportunity? Why bother delivering parcels if no one is there able to open them? Magnificent cartilage. Broken bones in Surrey, beveled and denounced by 16 troopers, lost now in cervix maintenance back in the wooden old days. Lest we forgot, in time there was backdraw. I opened the door, a short Spanish rock. Biffy shut it and yelled at me, take your brain and get out of our love. You missed the train whilst you were with God. Lest ye be known of the sins of flesh, be ye not deceived by the eyes of Satan, lest ye should be chosen by the ark of the covenant in due to the eyes of the Lord. Be ye not tempted by the sins of nature, bite the monstrous flesh of the demons who scrawl and lurk within the depths of the forest, for they are too simple for this world. Be a Hawaiian barbaric shirt, be ye the vest of the kingdom in twist-wixed sins not ye of feature films, lest ye supulous to requirements, Donald be amongst ye's. To that which is monstrous be you not pressed against the flesh of the demons, be ye not intertwined with corrupt sins of the flesh. May God bless ye unto thine hardest hours of thine flesh and breast, lest ye fest under ours. Intertwined with flesh press the flesh caress the flesh mess with the flesh business devil may not care, if he chooses to instead be ye claimant to all the honest throngs of this world. Workshop all the great throngs seated majesties like smog devour insipid legitude once up among us along still tide fortune destitute vespers nesty april amongst ye's bastardy of jiu-jitsu amongst yespers vertitude. There's a door on the floor, leads to Lansdire, and his Mahayad Umjur, dance on the floor, Supermore, get stranded in the moor. What don't be a bore bottle, ascend like the phoenix in Phoenix, Texas. Alexis, carbon capture plastic, seldom dull bureaucratic dulls, plates of Tennessee six-pack bulbs, collectively organized like a kitchen, outside like a salmon on the edge of a dream, collective bargaining, colostomy bags aplenty for the men in charge. The landscape artist is not the garden, the tubester is not a brick, instinctive stacks of lettuce in partitioned allotments, telephone the mother leaf into a fit, almost nothing to do with you my darling, what am I wavering on about, you still abandon me at the shops with your old dress, can't knit for nothing, faucet for something, the skid swab men trying to entertain you, to crack a bulb and bust a gut, I lost a fountain, lose a black pen, God help me. If I lose you again, down the back of the sunlit sunkissed sofa, write it down in a book, crack a few ribs, glass the sun, betroot the box cab in your way home, on pain of bread, oh friend sweetie death, run your fingers through the trenches. Subquo substation messes, come soothing seas tonal berries, very scary triumph, fresh new roses in their hands, biblical quick maddening stomach churns, faith in freedmen to Idaceans, burst westward in half-baked glory and light, shoulders set in silence, apprehension, curse, giving gifts without a broad approval or, in speaking terms, Google says it's depressed, whoever Google is, tempting. Free market milk fantasy, sustained bevellards the eases sons do tears, chromatic valves shone brightly on dreaded maxims, shakes a barking bear code, gunned down by saucers and teapots, make me a dead beef in my stomach for chewing, and a hot point to dig trenches with my umbrella solar system, washing machine directions and dialectics, bummed off and wishing a fart on the beach. Quiet boom. Insufferable marketing quotients, Shostakovich currency jaded by mingling forces, labor lies lost in a merchant wonderland, what workers and monarchies last lion see, if like was alike, ogling egg tin top bottle eggs aghast off timekeepers, sausage mixture cement copper tins and eggs, more eggs, I'm chewing on a lifeboat, dragging me into oblivion in red squares, tacky lifeblood. I have welcomed and unleashed fine hell, yon sinners will be unleashed into a pit of devastating pain and horrific nightmares, we will live to see horrors beyond our man-made comprehension, we sit amongst the bickering stars, then in hopeful discontent amongst men of faultless being, dust, decay and beast-like horror spreads at last, as mass descends into the lightning abyss before sunstroke, a silent red chip section vans across our mist. We hug and embrace carefully so, as not to disturb it, I am cheered. In grace we fall and fly in disaster and despair, waiting yet nothing in mountains will bear with us, abyss in Machiavellian syndicates, abstraction in Hieronymus elasticity, in secret tandems wishbones tread and light, sashes rust in midst the hellfire encompassing the watchtowers, they lied about the turnstile in anarchist quarters, we came. As a head god to reap the solipsistic sinners before agoraphobic massed staffs, aging populations, mustard mass blending inward, slaughter indecent company best wheat pine sheep and ears. Best outweed Enokin in yon fellow soldiers, as we stood by the canal path, we waited by the hanging trees, you blushed, and wrapped your arms around my soul, initially it thought to fight back, as if the green light went, it changed tack. Howling winds turned to peaceful groves, at the top of the mountain I sat and built a beacon, and you sat beside me, 1 week afterward, waiting with planetary prosperity, like a loyal druid's order emerging from the ashes, as meteorial civilization collapsed, I honored my parents, you look so beautiful, when you cover my vision, and yet you are, just as beautiful as a dot in the horizon, reflection of everything. A rumbling green water of potential meters, as we stood by the canal path. All to play for with Ruby Juice, sitting in her concrete garden, it's all quiet in the sun street, treasuring meat, a treat to believe, what a wonder you are, a great engine tied down by me, you are a ship, I am a captain, tied up so you can move freely, a chain of liberty. To be honest, googly-eyed contradictions, everlasting frictions, holding onto the surface of the dynamic road, the diamond files paperwork, get on with it you stupid muppet. A finely tuned piece of coal could never get his sums wrong, along, there's a tank in existence, there's a ship in the house, try to make it faster, last long and blow up the squid, mask it in town, free the street, shops and dresses plaid mice, inconsequential, I want you to lose me so you want to find me again, I candidly can't feed myself, if you'd like to follow me again, gravy, waved off to the nearest town, inhabited by stocks, la la la, Jan tame the fair, old both existence is back, get to do loose, skates on boys, skates for the girls, rolling love and bread, made for consumption, basically, you were too good to carry around, assaulted us in the sky, she liked her stars, with her arms dancing, around the dome, obtuse as a biscuit, angles never seen, before, a multi-dimensional color wonder, behind the pure brilliant white sun. Complimenty, the best song in the world, taking ink through the pulsating lash, pancakes the mystery, the pancakes showcase my love for my bride, all confusion and abstraction, resolution, with computerism, happily ever after, I being we we being determined to prove right. Satsuma was ripe for appealing. To pull it off, you tear it off, scatter the hedgehogs in your garden, die. A hose for no reason whatsoever. The saddest bacon passenger rides in a jelly-filled car. A monumental mountain stokes his pipe, telling stories no one wants to hear. Abject misery for those in earshot. Limascale limbs at desperation creeps in, much as mulch mat discomfort for trees. The walls file insurance policies, the building orders a takeaway. In what hell do we build our theaters? Outdoor extravaganzas for 1,000 May days. You in the festival, sung in your bright red dress, looks like Clive taught you well. Power in a green shed, touched by the wind and the fortune of a metal surrogate baby, clinking and chaining like 1,000 sounds of suns, detrimental to a vague suspicious cause. Beefy wanted to use the ancient words like paint. We tried to stop him but to no avail. He colored in the sky with metal computer-acidic snakes. They danced and tortured 1,000 sounds of suns, come to closure within the clouds of ash and felt tip pins. Wash my backwards ways off of me, get me to sit in the chair of the kinds of bones you wished you had, all straight-lined and laced with silver, going to the basement of your dreams, catching butterflies of paperwork. I could reach out and touch you, you are so obvious, that's why you are beautiful, I am scared. 2506. I don't want to drive a moped. Situations past and present, abstraction, fake, morbid and ugly in tune, trombone symptoms, metallic clergy, tone-deaf grandmothers in silk lino basket cases. At least we won't have to worry about the repeating serendipitous mountains anymore anywhere. The true meat of the sandwich lies beneath the feet of the king. Wash the weight away. Limestone encased in encapsulated trouble music style. Census 22nd. Caledonia Spiritus. I'm sitting like a heartfelt mannequin. Shut up beneath the twin hours. Sunshine hours. Weak magnetic twin powers. Soften your attitude to tours. Extensions pluralized by mankind's separate tears. Not words, but with pictures. Scandalous aliens floating in a jacuzzi. Biblical stories whatsoever help me, I'm crying for me to unflog sticky back plastic. And when he came to in the building, he was stood before 3 fishermen and 3 serfs. And they did see him, and called him forward to the makeshift altar. The sea did part before them, for it was before the troubled times. They spoke to one another in various tongues, as they sat by the canal path, and did it speak at great length. Its shimmering coldstones lining its ceilings, in verbatim did it enjoy itself, as it was cast onto the main plural fire, set onto the canal path. Here were the saints that went onward, into the forest, devils begging to be forgotten and mashed potatoes drunk, ye small as oxelweevil fluffed for floatals no small ab or all small thorn not cloth, 3 ancient myths, and I saw 14 ancient sibyls gathered together in one place, rotating in a slight alternate angle to one another in a seamless display of enigmatic constantas. From the boar came several dozen white men, attuned in skills unknown to man for eternity. They came and sat down next to the sibyl and started playing a miraculous tune. Once they had finished, the chord had been severely disrupted by this and began to faint eagerly, causing men to stroke their beards in just anger and regiment. My name is whatever you wish it to be. I have come from an island that stands within me. This is the greatest island, wouldn't you agree? Tagmouth, weary sand wheels, ancient castles stood, time wept and wept again, 2,000 light bulbs creeped upon her bed, brunette locks draping her shoulders naked and cold, optimism and senselessness kept her waiting for her golden mankind to show up. She stood waiting for him, nothing yet came. Whence he was meant to be arriving on a skylark, drifting unconsciously into the LSD skylights and a field of truces. When he came over he took her to a dinner party. She quite thanked him and went on her way afterwards. He took, since then, a daily bottle of dosage internment. Come to think of it, she quite liked him. Wishes between ancient fingers, thinking of baseless immortal sounds and foundations. Twixt is this savage dream of multicolored emphasis in a drawing or two, makes me vomit black sunshine, get to the car and sit in underground caverns blasting out variable tubes turned outside in towards material assumption, consume materialism and beat it, defeat it. And turn language into a holy martyr again, go revive the churches and spiritual places, make a religious doctrine for your local nationality, send swans round my meaty way, if you'd like, laced with jerry jars hard beans coughing laughter sudden slaughter for necessity's sake.